So, as you can see from my slide, I'm here to talk about build a brand that takes over the world. And that's a pretty big question, right? How do you do that? And I wish that I could, in 10 minutes, give you a play-by-play from this point in time to world domination. But we only have a few minutes. So instead, what I'm going to do is share with you the very first 3 questions that I always start with when we're going to build a new brand. So at Red Antler, we work primarily with startups, not exclusively, but that's definitely the bulk of the work that we do. So we're facing the challenge of how do you create something from scratch? You know, how do you start with absolutely nothing, no awareness, no experience, no identity, and build a brand that people are going to fall absolutely madly in love with, and hopefully a lot of people. So that's a pretty big challenge, and I think that the methods that we employ to meet that challenge can absolutely be applied to existing brands as well. When we take on work with more corporate existing clients, we're thinking about things in the same way, because in many ways, it's about the same principles, right? It's how do you get a set of people to fall in love with you, and then how do you continue to grow that audience? So the first question is, who will love you most? This is not the same as who is my target audience. Every single marketer that I've ever worked with as a client, hands down, brilliant people, always defines their audience too broadly. And I get that. There's a risk aversion, right? You want to make sure that a ton of people are going to buy whatever it is that you're selling, and you don't want to turn anyone off, and you want to make sure there's room to grow and scale, and that makes total sense. But this is a different question than who's going to buy your product. If you have a great product, a lot of people will ultimately buy your product. But to start, you have to ask, who's going to be obsessed with my product? Who's going to be the person that calls up their friends and says, you have to come over and see my new oven, or you got to try on my sneakers. They're just so freaking comfortable. Like, put them on your feet. And you're like, ew, no, I don't want to do that. You know, who's the person whose lives you're really going to change? And by identifying those people, it gives you focus to earn their love in ways that might not be scalable, and that's okay. Because I think that if you can get those people, the rest are going to follow. But you can employ tactics to reach that core set of people that are going to be absolutely, like, have their minds blown by you, that maybe you can't, sustain on an ongoing basis, but if you get them, the rest will follow. All right, question 2. Why do you really matter? Otherwise phrased as, what is the actual problem that you're solving? Now, this might sound like an easy one, but contrary to most people's belief, the problem that you're solving is not that your product doesn't exist. The problem that you're solving is not, people need a healthy breakfast, or, people need comfortable shoes, or people need an on-demand app for dry cleaning. The truth is, people don't know what they need necessarily until they're presented with it. And what you really have to do is identify the actual problem that you're solving, the thing that people are actually facing in their lives and feeling a lack of, and that's influencing their day-to-day decisions. So let's use an example. Let's say that we invented the car. Pretty exciting. We're all going to be really rich. And, it would be easy to say, the problem that we're solving is that, people need a personal, fast way to get from point A to point B. But I'm sure everyone here has heard that Henry Ford quote, right? People love to quote it. If you asked people what they wanted, they would have said, a faster horse. And whether or not he said that, I think it's a really good point. People were not walking around thinking, I need a car, or riding around thinking I need a car. So we have to go deeper. So this is where I employ what I call the why test. I don't know if anyone here has ever been around a toddler that won't stop asking why. It's entertaining for about 2 seconds and then gets pretty irritating. But we're going to channel that toddler. So let's say, a problem is, we're talking about the car here. Oh, my horse is so slow and he gets tired so easily. Okay, why is that a problem? Why does that matter? Well, it takes me a really long time to get from one place to another. All right, Why is that a problem? Why does that matter? Well, I spend more time on the back of this horse than I do, achieving things or enjoying things or living my life. I feel like I'm always just on this horse. Okay, why does that matter? Well, I'm gonna die soon, and I can't waste my life on the back of this horse. And that's when you know you're done with the why test, which is when you hit fear of death. Because ultimately, that's what motivates everything everyone does. So you're not allowed to stop until you hit fear of death, the ultimate motivator. But then you can go back and figure out which problem is actually most relevant for whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And then lastly, what should people feel? So once we know the true problem that we're solving, something that people actually feel in their hearts, how do we make sure that we're the solution? And a lot of time is spent, I spend a lot of time doing this, really trying to figure out how do we articulate our product benefit, what's our unique value prop, what can we own that no one else can own, and how do we express that, in a functional way, in an emotional way. And I'm not trying to downplay the importance of that work. That's incredibly important work. My entire role at the company that I started is based around that work. But I think at the end of the day, the most important question to always have in your mind is, what do you want people to feel when they interact with your brand? What's the emotional territory that you want to own? That matters more than anything else. So maybe with our car invention, we want people to feel free or independent or powerful. Whatever it is, when that becomes the guiding light for every single decision that you make, you're guaranteed to be building that relevance and to get people to fall madly in love. Thank you. I don't know if that was full 10 minutes, but